The story starts in a world destroyed by monsters, with all humans wiped out except one. Our hero Zephyr, who fights with the demon Lord Tartarus, is a last hope. However, he meets his end by the demon's hand. Surprisingly, Tartarus respects Zephyr, temporarily slowing his injuries. The demon lord offers Zephyr a chance to work under him, aiming to make him stronger, but it's a ploy to make Zephyr beg. In return, Zephyr flips the demon lord like a badass, executes a final blow, destroying Tartarus's hand, and sacrifices himself. Realizing his impending end, Zephyr awakens in shock in an unknown place which he concludes is the underworld. A mysterious voice, the High Angel Mercedes, corrects him, revealing they are in the lowest pantheon floor where gods reside. Zephyr, unable to use his powers, is informed by the High Angel he's given a second chance by three gods who want to send him to the past with his current knowledge and powers. Confused, Zephyr questions why he gets a second chance for free, believing the gods abandoned humankind to evil. Mercedes responds the gods will, something a little more interesting. Shocked, Zephyr learns the gods have watched him, keen to see his potential. In fury, Zephyr attacks, remembering sacrifices labeled as entertainment for the gods. Mercedes easily subdues him, explaining the gods want him to prove his worth. One god has a different reason, tied to Tartarus losing his hand to a mere human. Tartarus, now one-handed, seeks revenge, having destroyed 10 worlds. Zephyr accepts the offer to be time-traveled into the past, gaining new abilities from the gods. Sent back, Zephyr wakes up in mines, realizing he's a slave to the Temple of Light 10 to 20 years ago. A kid thanks him for saving their life, but Zephyr, with memory gaps, recalls the angel's words, checking his newfound skills in shock.
Zephyr, examining his newfound skills given by the gods, is shocked to find that the skills are high-grade. Smirking nervously, he is interrupted as the mine operator sees him phasing out and brings out a leash to punish him. Zephyr easily catches the leash midair, apologizes to the shocked operator, and continues his work. Examining his hand, he realizes it didn't receive a single scratch due to one of his skills, the wall of iron. Overpowered, Zephyr breezes through his mining workloads, collecting more than enough resources, leaving others shocked. Due to Zephyr's efforts, his group comes in first place for the day. Everyone commences in praise to the god Arya, ending their work. Zephyr recalls how the Temple of Arya was once the biggest religion and loan company in the entire continent. The temple enslaved people who had lost their villages to monsters or once adventurers rescued and became slaves to pay off their debts. The stigma restricted freedom and caused death as long as one remained a slave. Zephyr, determined to rid himself of this, aims to finish off Tartarus without fail this time. A faint memory of a girl named Altair, whom Zephyr failed to save, crosses his mind, motivating him not to fail again. Zephyr roams to a market area, lamenting the unreasonably high prices. The boy he saved offers him a drink as thanks for protecting him against bullies. Zephyr gracefully declines and orders a water of recovery at a stall. The shopkeeper informs Zephyr about the prices and suggests enduring any pain. Zephyr pays 1.5 gold, taking out a loan to pay for potions. The boy warns Zephyr about the risks of going into debt, but Zephyr ignores him and chugs down the potions. The secret reason for wanting the potions is to unlock a special ability that increases magic power, complementing his second ability, Vision of Hermes, which enhances potion effects by 5-fold. Knowing he can't pay off debts solely by working in the mines, Zephyr plans to earn through dungeons. He informs the mine operator about hearing monster cries and requests a hunter team to investigate with him.
The dungeons were a high-risk and high-reward area that acted as homes for monsters. These creatures, imbued with magic, dropped magic stones and resources crucial for gears and items upon defeat. The scene shifts to the market, where Zephyr, wanting more potions, is denied further loans due to his rank. A nun suggests selling his organs for money, and without hesitation, Zephyr accepts. The shocked shopkeeper provides the potions, and the nun commends Zephyr's bold act. Chugging down the potions, he gets ready for the adventure. The arrived hunter team then meets Zephyr and introduces themselves as Goth, the team leader, and his comrades Dale and Marco. Zephyr shakes hands with Goth and tells him he can't use night vision but has mana detection. As they leave, Dale jokes about how Zephyr would mess up their expedition because of his skills. The scene shifts to near the dungeon where a waiting team awaits them, putting a string bracelet on 4 of them which would snap if anything happens to them while in the dungeon, and shall call backup for rescue. As Zephyr and the hunters enter the dungeon, they encounter monsters called kobold, but because of their experience, they easily clear through them. As they progress, they sit and plan for their further steps to be taken forward. Goth, the team leader, recommends venturing further and clearing the full dungeon instead of waiting for an attack team. The other members oppose the decision since their only task was to gather information about the dungeon, also pointing out they are only 4 in number, and one of them is a mere minor, pointing at Zephyr. Goth smirks and tells Zephyr to bring out an item, the hazelnut leaves and seeds, which were to be mixed with kobold and used to lure out kobolds in the dungeon by creating an odor similar to kobold's female kind. The male kobolds catch up to the scent and get deviously excited, running towards the scent. They meet their end by the traps set up by the group. Goth stands proud by the outcome and gets complimented by the other members. The scene is shifted to earlier when Goth and Zephyr talk before they sit down and plan. Zephyr informs Goth that he had already explored the dungeon by himself and has only seen some small groups of kobolds left. He recommends that they clear it, also informing about the hazelnut. Confused, Goth accepts the offer, thinking he would be recognized by others if he were to accomplish this feat with his team. Goth, recognizing Zephyr's usefulness, hands him a dagger and thinks he could easily be a hunter with his capabilities, but he thinks Zephyr wanted all this to happen, just to join the hunter group by showing his feat, but he won't allow that to happen by just helping him clear a kobold's dungeon. As the group clears through the dungeon and collects resources, they stumble over a bone pile of some animal. Just as they realize it's the bones of the kobolds, a huge claw comes towards them, picks up Dale, and throws him flying away. Marco charges up his shield to dodge the monster but is easily knocked out by the monster, and an attack is charged at Goth. Outside, the waiting team realizes something bad must have happened, since 3 of the bracelets snapped at once. Injured Goth realizes that Zephyr blocked the monster's attack and saved him. Zephyr realizes even with his skill he has taken some damage. The creature, known as the Predator, emerges, which mimics the scent of other monsters to devour them and grow stronger. Zephyr picks up Goth's spear, ready to face the creature with confidence and a smirk. Zephyr reveals his third skill, Silver Key, which allows him to deposit and withdraw items at his will. He brings out a dragon soul plant and a cloth, giving them to Goth to calm him down. Zephyr asks Goth to stand back and gets ready for the fight. Goth, who is scared and shocked, warns Zephyr about how dangerous the creature is, and tries to stand up and fight but is overwhelmed by the creature, which uses the skill, Fear. Just as Goth thinks it's his end, he sees Zephyr launching a number of attacks at the beast. Both the monster and Zephyr trade blows, but Zephyr easily dodges them, while using the Dragon Soul plant against the Fear skill, which has an increased effect because of his skill. Zephyr brings out a poison vial made by his friend Venom King in the future. In Zephyr's past life, he is handed the recipe for the poison by his friend because he wants Zephyr to use it against the monsters that destroy others' lives. Zephyr stabs the beast with the poison-tipped spear, affecting the creature as the poison inflicts excruciating pain when applied. Zephyr calculates it would take 3 minutes for the poison to do its work. Just then, the beast tail whips Zephyr to a corner and attacks. Zephyr throws the whole poison vial at the creature's mouth and dodges, reducing the time to 1 minute for the poison to work. Zephyr, waiting for the poison to work, latches onto the creature's tail and attacks its eye. Without a second thought, he breaks his spear and stabs the creature again in the eye, bringing out his dagger and stabbing it again in the other eye. The creature, now in pain and overwhelmed, tries to shake off Zephyr but fails. Zephyr uses his magic power, which he was accumulating by drinking the potions. He releases a huge amount of magic power that defeats the beast. Goth is shocked by the event he just saw and is called out by Zephyr to talk about a matter with him. The scene shifts to a forest, where 2 executioners interrogate a person. The person, begging them, tells them he is not a devil worshipper. Without hearing the person's words, the executioners attack him, and crush him. Just then, a parasitic centipede comes out of the body, proving that the person was in fact a devil worshipper. The executioner had slain 7 people to get 1 centipede, and his higher-up questions him. The executioner says they can't take any risk and must take action against anyone who seems suspicious. The higher-up warns him not to act rashly and better deliver results from what he is doing. Back in town, Goth enrolls Zephyr in his hunting team, thinking that when Zephyr performs well, the rating of his team shall increase. After Zephyr defeats the beast in the dungeon, he asks Goth to pretend that the monster didn't exist. Goth asks if Zephyr will get rid of the body, and Zephyr replies that he will only take the predator's body, leaving the rest to them. Goth says it's impossible to get rid of the beast's body, since a surveillance team will come later to see through the loots of the dungeon. Zephyr smirks and uses his skill to deposit the beast in his storage. Goth is shocked when seeing Zephyr using his skill, leading Goth to accept Zephyr's offer. Goth and Zephyr make a deal where Zephyr would help Goth and his team to clear 3 more dungeons, but all the monsters are his, and they can have the clearing rewards. Both Goth and Zephyr, having their own goals, think through their profits based on their deal. But Zephyr also has a different motive, where he needs to retrieve an artifact that changes the entire course in the future, for which he needs to join a big raid happening in a month.